Studios.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, no matter where you are in the world. This is Chief OPDK here at the New Harbor Studio with your co-host and my brother, Joel Spears. Morning, sir.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody.
All right, so we greet you wherever you are in this world, including Trudeau's country in Canada, that dummy. But anyway, he wants to fight United States. We'll give him a little battle.
Thanks.
I want to greet all of the people that are in Europe, in Africa, our motherland. We want to say hello to all the Asians, and we want to say que pasa, amigo. Greetings to all of you in South America, and good luck. Because we're going to do what we're going to do, and you're going to do what you're going to do. And you need to do what you need to do, because we're going to do what we're going to do.
Si, senor.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right, well, okay.
Somebody, I don't know.
We got so many issues. The deportation issue in America is taking a massive movement. We have all the listen. We have people now that are trying to provoke, and I think Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Jeffries, what's that little short Negro in New York, in Harlem? Al Sharpton. Yes, they are trying to ask people to demonstrate. But before we go to that, the deportation executive orders is taking place already. I'd like to welcome my brother in California, and we will bring him in the studio very soon. My brother in California, a mastermind person, a human magnitude of a person, a wonderful human being.
Yes, sir.
Am I correct?
Absolutely.
And who do we have?
Who do we have where?
Coming in from California.
Oh, Ted.
Ted.
Yes, sir.
Oh, do you remember Ted? The man that has been warning us about the birthright issue, telling us about the 14th Amendment, and somehow or another, some people are not listening. But we're going to keep on telling you, no matter what you're thinking, because we need to tell you, especially my brothers, my sisters, black people. We need to hear what Donald Trump had to say about the birthright issue. You need to hear and see the clip from Ted Hayes on the birthright, on the 14th Amendment, 13th Amendment, and how it impacts on the 45, 50 million black people in America. I mean, I love what's going on, you know. I mean...
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
Huh?
It's kind of sad, and just, you want to see people to be happy, and...
I don't want to see none of y'all happy,
No.
shit. What they're happy for?
Here we go.
So, okay.
Bring me you're tired, you're poor, you're huddled masses.
I'm only kidding.
Learning to breathe free.
Well, okay. You're right, Joel. I don't want to. I want to see people happy. But have you seen ice?
Only in my refrigerator.
No, not that ice.
Oh, okay. No, sir.
The deportation issue, you can see masses of people that are going back on their own back to their country.
Self-deportation.
Self-deportation is increasing in numbers, and we think that they are right to do what they are doing.
When you do deportations like this and you start cracking down, there are people that naturally self-deport. Some guy who's living in Missouri and he's got a DUI from 3 years ago and he knows they're going after criminals first is going to be like, well, do I want to go back to Mexico with my pickup truck and my apartment full of stuff? Or do I want to wait until Tom Homan stuffs me on a plane? You go back to Mexico with all the things you collected. You got bikes, you got some furniture, a grill. You made out. Yeah, do you want to have to buy all your clothes again in Mexico after Tom Homan handcuffs you and puts you on the plane? No. Time to head back with your winnings, whatever you collect. Whatever coins you gained from the system. Family members, people who are like, oh, we'll just go start over. Or like, dad can't find work. Those kind of like pressures, those external pressures that just get someone to kind of go back to where they grew up. And that's the thing. We're not sending people to Siberia. We're sending them to where they've spent their entire life up until like 6 months ago.
Before we get into ICE starting to prepare themselves to come to Detroit and raid and get all of the illegal migrants from out of my city also, I want to first tackle this whole situation. Man dropped his kid off of school, and then ICE came and picked him up right after that. Check it out.
I'm told the man taken into custody by immigration agents had just dropped off his child at school this morning. And Alderman Michael Rodriguez tells me that this entire community here in Little Village is on high alert.
It created a lot of fear in the morning, and we were rapidly responding to it.
Video from someone who did not want to be identified shows a man being detained by ICE agents near 32nd and Kedzie. Alderman Michael Rodriguez says this is the first detainment he knows of in Little Village.
The Colombian government just reported that of the 200 people that were deported, none were criminals and 2 were pregnant women. Now we have a detainee whose child was just dropped off at school.
Wait a minute. If there was pregnant women, that means we got to get them out of here ASAP, because we don't want them having kids here on American soil and then saying that I'm a birthright citizen. I'm a birthright citizen. If you pregnant, I think that they need to make sure that they keep you and your family together as they put y'all on a cargo plane and head back to Guatemala. Because you can't be over here getting pregnant on purpose, having children out of wedlock, making sure that your kid is a birthright citizen so that they can have dual citizenship from where they from and where they at. Get them. Get them. Get them. Get them, gorilla. Get them. If you over here illegally, it's time to pay the piper.
This immigration shit finna get real serious, man. You got women, man, close to the giving birth, they're getting C-sections and shit, man. I'm talking about trying to make sure they baby born over there. That ain't gonna guarantee nothing, man. This shit finna get real ugly.
America has allowed gangs to enter our country.
The migrants that are coming, they're taking over every block right now.
The city of Chicago is gonna go up in smoke, it's gonna go up in flame.
Gangs in Chicago are angry over the influx of migrants and criminals in their city. They say money that should be going to the African American community on the South Side is instead going to what they call non-citizens, and warn that turf wars between Chicago's gangs and groups like Venezuela's Tren de Aragua could see Chicago, quote, go up in flames. Photographer Matt McDermott and I traveled to Chicago's South Side to see what was happening for ourselves after we heard about a police report last month that the Tren de Aragua gang had taken over an office building there. We spoke to a number of young, hardcore gang members, and they're all furious at the estimated $500 million that's reportedly been funneled toward new migrants in Chicago since 2022.
Let's look at the cartels that are opening fire on agents. I'm having a problem that's creating a chaos in that, especially in Texas area.
That's a big mistake. I think they're trying to flex muscles, but I don't think that they're that stupid. The U.S. military likes to shoot back.
Well, we do, as a veteran, and I greet all my veteran brothers and sisters. I am a veteran too. United States Army. That's correct. I said it, the best military force in the world. U.S. Army. And that's right, I said it. We like Marines, a little on the crazy side. We like the Navies because they eat good, and they can swim good.
The Air Force.
With the Navy SEAL, all of them are good.
Seal of approval.
Seal of approval.
Mm-hmm.
And, and above all, we're like the Air Force. They eat the best food in the world.
Yeah, the Chair Force, is that what they're called?
No, the U.S. Air Force is the best.
Mm.
We love them. You got to love the United States Air Force. Mm. So anyway, I just want to put that little greetings. But before we even bring Ted in, I want to do one little thing. That we must not forget that this is February.
Oh, yes.
February.
Oh my goodness.
The month that we'll be watching all kinds of Rosewood, you know, we'll be watching Black Lives Matters on the streets, you know, all sorts of people that are trying to create problems for black people.
Are we black now? We were Negroes, then we're black now, and then African American. Is that still?
You're missing one.
Okay, colored. Well, that was.
You know, they're trying to change it and say, don't say the N word. But, you know,
are we trying to
educationally, we have to let people know it's called a nigger.
Oh, my goodness.
You know, that's what they call us, you know, but
N-word?
The N-word, they're trying to call it N-word. I don't know, you know, they could have called it a P-word, you know, but that's not going to work. So they could have called it anything, but they don't want people to know what the problems that we've gone through being in America. But you got to listen to Donald Trump's statement on that birthright. The citizens of this country, who are the citizens. The reason why you need to listen to it, but we'll go to that videotape right now, and we'll be right back.
Look, birthright citizenship was, if you look back when this was passed and made, that was meant for the children of slaves. This was not meant for the whole world to come in and pile into the United States of America, everybody coming in and totally unqualified people with perhaps unqualified children. This wasn't meant for that. This was meant, when it was originally done, for the children of slaves. And that was a very good and noble thing to do, and I'm in favor of that 100%. But it wasn't meant for the entire world to occupy the United States.
So you're requiring a constitutional amendment that would be...
I just think that we'll end up winning that court in the Supreme Court. I think we're going to win that case, and I look forward to winning it. This has been going on. We're at that level. We're the only country in the world that does this. There's no other country at this level. There's no other country in the world that does it. It's crazy.
There are masses of people that are going back, some of them being sent in by planes. Colombia, we don't want you to send us our people that we sent to you. We sent you some criminals and now you want to send it back to us? What's wrong with you?
Well, you know, I think every society, you know, when you have a bunch of people arrive on your borders, they've probably sold their properties, they're displaced. It's going to create some problems in their home societies as they what does he call that? Re-emerge or reconnect back?
Yeah, but you know, some of them will be very happy because since they've been here, so many have been here for 20, 30 years, maybe even 40, maybe even 50 years. And they've collected an awful lot. I think I saw one clip of a lady who had, or a man and his family, who had trailers of, you know, locked into some kind of 4x4 vehicle, going back, had so many things that they have collected. I think it's from Oregon or Utah and one of those states. And they, you know, they're going right back to their native country. And they're very lucky, really, if you really, really look at it. Joel, deportation of the Latinos or the Congolese, the Africans that are here, you know, deportation of them going back to Africa is not a bad thing. They get a free plane ride, don't have to pay for a ticket. You know, I don't know if they get any service in the plane, though.
I think it's coach.
Coach?
Yeah.
All the way from top to bottom.
Yeah, apparently.
But it's, you know, free flight.
Yeah.
You know, you go back to your country, you know, and then you will get there, you just start looking around for where you're going to settle.
I think it's Spirit Airlines. I'm not
Spirit Airline? No, that's a bad airline there. that clunker is a clunker in the air.
It's got to help fly.
Yeah. But, you know, they do get back home, and some of them are going to do very well. They know that they were wrong by invading this country. They know they did that wrong. Now, they weren't looking for anything that was, green pasture over there. Are you serious?
Well, you know, I mean, we have a good, well, for many of them came over with good skills. It was lucrative.
Yeah, no. America is not trying to get rid of good skilled immigrants, even though illegal. We'll find a way to make them legal, you know, and stay here and work. It's the crooks It's the criminals. It's the murderers. It's those are the people, and they've been capturing an awful lot of them in New Jersey, 500 to 1,000 of them. You know, but you know there was that question that was being asked. I don't know exactly how long, but how long will it take to deport 15, 20 million people?
That's an incredible number. I know that the last mass deportation was back in the 50s under Eisenhower, and it took, well, they literally commandeered trains, and it just was running 24/7. I don't know. This would probably take years.
From what I hear from some people, 60 years or more. That's a lot. And of course, you know, Guantanamo Bay is open for business.
So how old will the last one be when he's in the back? He's going to be like 90 years old.
we really don't. We're sorry for laughing, but we don't mind. We have to because, you know what I was thinking one day? It must have been a nightmare. Ted, you might like this too. I was really sleeping my behind off, having a good old nightmare, you know, just a regular American nightmare. And then it dawned on me that I was seeing some people that I hadn't seen before around the streets. And, you know, naturally, initially, like the white guys, I ignored it. But there was about 1 million of them. And, you know, as my sleep continued, and looking at the white guys, and, you know, they were in the dream too. But the next thing you know, there was 5 million. And the white guys just, you know, still okay. They were using them for little things like farming and washing their clothes, cleaning their plates and all that, like that. What that bishop said, you know. I think she was an alphabet person.
Okay.
But y'all know what alphabet people are. Don't act like you don't.
KG.
The next thing you know, the white guy turned around and there's 15 million. Holy Jimosy. Then he woke up. Holy macaroni. Look at this stuff what these folks are doing. They're no longer just coming for jobs and education. They're invading the country. And by the time, and boy, Americans were smart enough to go ahead and elect somebody right here who's going to do something about it.
Well, I like everybody else. I've been in some of the grocery stores and literally been the only person in the grocery store speaking English.
What the hell happened?
And and then I noticed there would be 3 and 4 shopping carts. They'd have their whole family, and the carts were filled and spilling over. Where are they getting all this money?
Where the money coming from?
I don't know.
Joe Biden, you did it. Kamala Harris, you did it. Chuck Schumer, you did it. Jeffries, you did it. You messed up this country, and you put this country in a dangerous situation. And now we got to fight back. Now we got to really fight back.
After a federal judge temporarily blocked President Trump's executive order on birthright citizenship, Vice President J.D. Vance asserted that the administration will not back down from the fight. During an appearance on Face the Nation, he argued that birthright citizenship should only apply to lawful permanent residents or legal immigrants who intend to reside in the United States.
If you come here on vacation and you have a baby in an American hospital, that baby doesn't become an American citizen. If you're an illegal alien and you come here temporarily, hopefully, your child does not become an American citizen by virtue of just having been born on American soil.
Joining us to discuss more on the issue of birthright citizenship and the legal battle ahead is Dr. John Eastman. He's senior fellow at the Claremont Institute. Dr. Eastman, it seems that much of the legal debate about citizenship and the 14th Amendment centers around the idea of jurisdiction. In your recent article, you suggested it's more about allegiance than jurisdiction. Explain, please.
Well, the drafters of that amendment were asked directly what they meant by subject to the jurisdiction, because there were two there were two ideas that were covered by that phrase. One that was called partial or territorial jurisdiction. If you live within our borders, unless you're a diplomat, then you're obviously subject to our laws while here. And they were asked if that's what they intended, and they specifically said no. It means subject to the complete jurisdiction, owing allegiance, such as exists among citizens, or the Supreme Court would later say for lawful permanent residents who are permanently domiciled in this country. Not for temporary visitors, whether they're here legally on a student or tourist or work visa, and certainly not for those who are here illegally without our consent at all. And that was quite clear that that's what they meant, and it remained clear that that's what they meant for 3/4 of a century. Somehow it just kind of worked into our nation's psyche that if you're just born here, that's all that's necessary, and that's never what that amendment said or intended.
Well, it was 150 years ago. So what was the original intent then of Congress when the 14th Amendment was proposed?
Well, it was very clear. They were codifying the 1866 Civil Rights Act, and that one specifically said, born in the United States and not subject to any foreign power. So if you're visiting here, the word they used was temporary sojourners. If you're a temporary sojourner and you still owe your allegiance to a foreign power, your king or the emperor of China or whatever, then this clause does not give you your children automatic citizenship. They were very clear about that. Now, we didn't have illegal immigration at the time. The question arose in the context of Native Americans who owed allegiance to a different power, their tribes. And the drafters of that language were quite clear. Even though they're born on U.S. soil, they would not be citizens. Supreme Court held as much in an 1884 case called Elk versus Wilkins. So this was the clear understanding, and it remained that understanding. I've not been able to trace exactly when this understanding changed, but it wasn't anything formal. It was either in the late 1930s or maybe as late as the 1960s that government officials started acting as though anybody born here, no matter what, were citizens. But there was no court decision. There was no formal pronouncement. It just kind of morphed into our psyche.
What other cases came before the Supreme Court on this issue, and how did they rule?
Well, the first case that took up 14th Amendment at all was called the Slaughterhouse cases. And there, both the majority justices and the minority justices said quite clearly that the clause was intended to protect, not to give citizenship to the children of diplomats. Everybody agrees on that. And then it said, or the children of foreign nationals, citizens of another nation. And that's what we're talking about. Elk versus Wilkins did the same thing a decade later. Wong Kim Ark is the case often cited for changing the rule that if you're just born on U.S. soil, you're a citizen. But Wong Kim Ark involved parents who were permanently domiciled in the United States. And the court said their children are therefore citizens. It had nothing to say about children of illegal immigrants or children of temporary visitors. That was not at issue. And then we get, but back, people now look at Wong Kim Ark as if it settled the question. It clearly did not. And had it settled the question, 20-some years later, in 1924, Congress passed the Indian Citizenship Act, offering citizenship to every Native American born in the country. That would not have been necessary if the Supreme Court had already settled that question in the Wong Kim Ark case.
Well, everyone expects this to eventually work its way up to the Supreme Court, but what are the chances Congress may weigh in on this and propose new legislation? If so, wouldn't that likely be challenged in the courts?
Well, Congress would adopt the same understanding as President Trump's executive order. And then you're all of a sudden looking at a court decision where both political branches have weighed in on their understanding of the Constitution, and these are co-equal branches, and they each have independent obligation to enforce the Constitution. So that would make for a very interesting legal challenge when the political branches and say, look, Eastman and the other scholars that have looked at this stuff and said we've been misinterpreting the Constitution for about a half a century. The original first century after the 14th Amendment was adopted, that's not what we did. And going back to the original meaning and, look, ending things like birth tourism. I mean, our main political enemies on the world stage, Russians going to Miami to have born babies and then go back to Russia with a citizen certificate, or Chinese immigrants coming Chinese mothers coming and renting luxury hotel rooms for a month until they deliver their baby and go back with the holy grail of American citizenship. This is nonsense. And I think President Trump understands it's nonsense. And because, in my view, it's not compelled by the Constitution, he can do something about it.
Okay, I'm sure it's a long road ahead on this, a legal battle ahead. Dr. John Eastman of the Claremont Institute, thank you for sharing your insights. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Gary, for having me on the program. Take care.
He is talking about the 14th Amendment. They are talking about the 14th Amendment. The so-called migrants are talking about the 14th Amendment. Do you know what the 14th Amendment is? We must talk about the 14th Amendment. I'm here for you. This is Ted.
Ted Hayes.
Yes, sir?
Talk to us about this 14th Amendment in as brief a time as you can, because we have so much more to cover.
Thank you very much, Chief. I appreciate you and Joel having me back on again. And thanks to Urban Smart Studios for their good work. I like the clothes you wear, by the way. It's nice colors, nice combination, man. Very nice.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, very nice. All right, okay. You see behind my head there, the 14th Amendment. I've been having it up there for quite a while. I've been talking about this now for 18 years. We out here in California, we felt the brunt of the invasion, and the black folks, we went out and we marched, we demonstrated, we went to the border. We had 3 civil rights marches against illegal immigration in Los Angeles, right down the middle, Broadway, Hollywood, and in South Central LA. The 14th Amendment is basically our birthright citizenship. It does not belong to anybody else. And it's my objective to demonstrate what I'm noticing Mr. Trump has not done. I looked into his bill or his act, and I don't see the real guts that explains the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment has been taken out of context. Those first 3 words, anyone who is, let me see, here it is. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. And it goes on to talk about how they must be protected at all costs, and no state shall impede this. And when you have sanctuary cities, counties, and states, they are in direct violation of the Constitution. The shortcoming of Mr. Trump and everyone I've been watching on television discuss this matter. They focus on, which is a good point, subject to the jurisdiction thereof. They're absolutely right about that. If you're not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States, you're not a citizen. And they explain that stuff pretty well. But where they are messing up is they're not giving you the real guts, the real nuts and bolts of what the 14th Amendment is and what created the 14th Amendment. My mentor on this topic, he's a close friend of President Trump. He got indicted with President Trump for January 6th. His name is Professor John Eastman out here in California. And he is my mentor on this for the last 18 years. We've discussed this matter. There's 2 laws you have to look at. 2 laws, one and the same. The 14th Amendment, and most of you probably have never heard of the Civil Rights Act of 1866, the first Civil Rights Act in this country, 1866. The Civil Rights Act of 1866 is actually the progenitor, the parent, the internal workings of the 14th Amendment. And it's like my body, my face, my skin, my looks, etc. That's the 14th Amendment. The Civil Rights Act of 1866, that's within me. That's my liver, my heart, my lungs, my internals. This is the part you do not see. And what they're doing is they're looking at our skin color and trying to combine their skin color with our skin color, saying it's a black thing that they're involved with. They call it the people of color. When you read the Civil Rights Act of 1866, all 10 sections, it reveals who are the real subject beneficiaries of the 14th Amendment. It makes it very, very clear.
And it did not mention any other race of people. Joel, you had a point to make on that. What was that? What was that?
Well, the thing that shocked me, and I just discovering this myself as we go through this immigration issue, is I thought that that this birthright, and I was looking for it, and it never occurred to me that the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment were exclusively written for the African slaves in America.
That's right.
That established a very unique group, and the interpretation has been taken out of context. The extreme left wing is now saying that everybody who comes to this country who drops a baby on this soil is an American citizen, but it doesn't say that. It is only addressing the African and legitimizing him as a unique group who was granted the protections under the Constitution. That's it. It had nothing to do with people coming here as migrants, no matter what the category, who they would go through a different process. The Constitution does not guarantee anyone who steps across the border. There's a process to be legitimized. And if you sneak
good
over...
students, was he good students? Because Donald Trump says birthright citizenship was for children of slaves, not for world to pile its children or anybody else into the United States. So that makes it clear. Now, I want to add something to this, Ted. So all these black children that are being killed, they're literally, and it's killed from internal sources. Now, I'm not going to mention any one of them so far, but so many people should know who are the ones internally killing all these black children of today, who are still the children of slaves. They're killing Americans internally. And all the ones that are supporting abortion, killing all children in abortion clinics, they're killing American children internally. That pisses me off. That really gets to my skin. So for a lot of black people, Ted, we just need to talk to, I know we talk in general in the educational field of understanding, but I just want black people to understand, you are Americans. Pure and simple, cut and dry. You are not your...
immigrants.
Huh?
We're not immigrants. We're not an immigrant.
You ain't no damn immigrants. And a lot of you have been saying the same thing. I ain't African. I don't know nothing about that place. Which is understandable because you ain't never even left the ghetto to go anywhere.
Oh, Jesus.
So, but let it be clear, as this bright mind, both of them, Ted and Joel, are telling us clearly, and the President of the United States, and I don't care what any other lawyer is saying, I don't really care about you guys. You guys are liars or lawyers,
Liars.
I'm sorry, liars, lawyers. You guys are trying to make things really confuse the African Americans who are losing their life. Hey, Ted, did you know that for 8 years in Baltimore City alone, more than 300 black children were killed, and black people, men, women, children, were killed every year for 8 years. Man, that's and at the abortion clinic, more than 400 every year. There's an abortion clinic not too far from where I am. 400. It's just amazing since 1970. What do you have in mind, Joel?
Well, we're looking at the whole issue of immigration. Is it possible? Is it possible that the people who are for illegals, that they are overstepping their boundary and stating that they have a right that doesn't exist? The issue is simply this.
Do you have an answer for that, Ted? Did you hear what he just said?
Yes, sir.
Are they overstepping their boundaries?
Of course they are. They're breaking the Constitution. They're breaking the law. It's immoral what they're doing. They're stealing, outright stealing. One of the best witnesses as to who the 14th Amendment is addressing is a Democrat. His name is former President Andrew Johnson. He's a president that took over after they killed Lincoln. He took over. And so the Congress in 1866, they said, okay, we passed the 13th Amendment, slavery is abolished, but we don't know who these people are. Are they citizens or not? So they said, well, we're going to have to make them citizens. So they wrote the Civil Rights Act of 1866, which gave us the birthright citizenship, right? But then they realized, wait a minute, a congressional act can be repealed by another Congress in the future. So we need to take this law and this act and enshrine it within the Constitution. Hence, they came up with the 14th Amendment. Now, when they put the 14th Amendment, which was actually the Civil Rights Act of 1866, on the desk of the President Johnson to sign, Johnson said, "I'm not going to sign it. I veto it." And Johnson, you got to go read his speech, his veto speech, and in it he identifies us, colored people, black people. He kept saying, and he said, number one, I'm against it because it gives too much power to the slave, the colored people, over the white people. He also said that it gives too much power to the slaves over the president. In fact, it gives power of the former slaves over the United States military. You got to read this thing. Very frightening for the other side, because he recognizes how powerful we are. We just don't know it yet, because for 161 years we were illiterate and did not know what we were reading. Now that we know what we're reading, this is what they're talking about. It's clearly us and not them. The only reason why they've gotten away with it so far is because we, the subject beneficiaries, have not known about this power that belongs solely to us. But Johnson makes it very clear. He ain't talking about no immigrants or anybody. He's talking about us, y'all, us.
Yeah. You know, and I see what you're saying. And it was enlightening to me as I was reading over this just the other day. And I was shocked because I had thought, in the years that I have been, you know, at least thinking that I understood the Constitution, I kept on hearing about the birthright, the birthright, the birthright. And then I realized as I was reading this, everything that I had been told literally in classroom is a lie. That they are literally telling me that the Constitution, from what I'm now gathering in these past couple of days, only addresses really the African who was brought to this country by force, and then they had to be reclaimed as citizens of this nation. It addresses nothing about immigrant status of any other groups. Mm-hmm. Native Americans were then, I think, addressed in like 1924. So the only two groups, or non-white groups, who were who were addressed were the black folks and Native Americans. That's it.
Let me take a break to remind some people that the New Harbor studio has been refurbished for you. Can you sing? Do you have a poetic mind? Do you have an innovative mind? Something that makes you unique? Because I think in these 1925 and upwards, everybody's bright mind is on the table. If you have some bright mind, first of all, we thank you for all of the texts that you keep sending us. We thank you. Please continue to subscribe to this program. We need you. We love you. We really appreciate you. And what's the other thing they got to do?
Oh, okay.
Ring the damn bell.
Yeah. Subscribe, press the notification bell, and leave us a comment.
Come on. You got a view. I want to hear it. We want to talk about it. We will open up the whole studio to screen. As a matter of fact, I don't have any problem bringing 30 or 40 of you at the studio so we can talk. That's what we try to do. That's why we call it, hey, let's talk about it. Don't you forget that. New Harbor Studio is open for business. It's a podcast, but it also has so much more that if you have any kind of talent, bring it. Come on. For a little bit of money.
There you go. Well,
let's see, this is America, it's a capitalist society. You got to pay a little bit of something. Ain't no more freebies at all. So, Ted, please come back and continue to talk to us about this issue that is such a burning issue. Any way that you look at it, it is an ugly issue. Ted, my friend, Birthright, 14th Amendment. Please give us a few more.
You know, I want to address Joe. He made some very, very good percentage points about our role in America, and what you guys are talking about. There's not enough of us to fit into the qualifications for different positions in this country's government or otherwise, and that's why, looking ahead into the future, the people who crafted the 14th Amendment and the Civil Rights Act of 1866, they recognize that any human beings that have spent 245 years in the worst kind of slavery in the history of humanity, they are going to have generational issues. Yeah, we can end slavery today, we can abolish it today, but the aftermath of that 245 years is going to be devastating to these people until they wake up.
Very traumatic, yes.
Until they wake up and get power. And so basically what they did, they wrote this in such a way that one day when we become literate, we'll look at it and then we will adopt it. And in it, one of the things they point out is that the U.S. military, upon us summoning them, has to protect us from invasions, from immigrants, from anyone who suppresses us. We can call on the military to protect us, as well as the president. No other people in this country have that right. Not even the Native Americans have that right. Why is that? Because this nation was built on the back of our ancestors. And this was the way, when we become literate, by which we can fix this.
Now, see, that's a hell of a damn point.
I appreciate the fact that you, Chief, are talking about this more. And hopefully more people across the country on their podcast will talk about it. I'm going to start a podcast on the 12th of this month, on Wednesday the 12th. I'll let you know more about that, where I'm going to teach the details of all of this. But we need to talk about all of this, because if we don't, they'll act like we gave it up. So I congratulate you and thank you for the work that you're doing on this project.
Go ahead, Joel.
I was just saying, talking to a couple of my friends who were commenting when they were driving on the last holiday. They said, when you go past the road crews, there's something missing.
Yeah,
us.
Yeah,
you just see it out in California.
Yeah,
you see it out in California.
When you go through a construction site, what's missing? Us. And we sit back and here we are talking about all these guarantees that are literally now being given to groups that aren't even a part of the contract. Why is that being allowed? Why is there a political party that was supposed to be for us now eliminating us, recategorizing us, and placing us
at the bottom?
Yeah. I want one of those doggone food cards with $20,000 on it, and housing and all these sort of things that are being guaranteed to a group that did nothing for this country.
But the question I'll ask both of you, okay, there's a political party that have done a tremendous amount of damage to us. There is even non-political party individuals like some black folks that are doing us some damage. What do we, in general, as black people, what do we need to do? Well, this is a question for both of you. What do we need to actually do to restore some sanity to our sense of being an American citizen? What do we need to do? You got all these people attacking us left and right.
Well, let's pull off the scab and heal it the right way.
All right.
We got to stop worrying about who doesn't like us.
And that's everybody.
We are so
obsessed.
Yeah, we're so obsessed with that issue. Once we stop doing that, I mean, the Asians know that they aren't liked. The Latinos know that they're not liked. But does that stop them from getting up and going to work, going to school, achieving?
Or creating something for their own society.
Right.
Because, if you're going to school to learn what somebody else has. But if you're getting out of your bed and go out, you are actually trying to create something that will benefit your own people.
The only thing that I see on the media that we're being recruited for as a people is the NBA, the NFL, and then part of a singing group. Are we promoting the kids who are scholars in school and becoming nurses and doctors? No, we're not. We are literally promoting people into jobs that are impossible by number.
Standing on the byline, the sideline, looking at everybody else, benefiting from what we worked, and what our four-parent family worked hard to create, and watching everybody else benefit from it.
You got kids right now who are practicing to become NFL and NBA players. What's that, 45 jobs next year out of the millions of kids? We're so damaged. We need to actually get our priorities together. Those young black mothers out there who are raising these children need to focus their children on academic success that puts them in the positions of independence.
Well, Joel is an academician, so we understand why he will push the academic issue on the forefront. Go ahead on, bro. Go ahead.
Let me give you some answers to how we can get there, which is right in the Civil Rights Act of 1866, the 14th Amendment, which is why they gave it to us. And this is what Mr. Johnson's fussing about. In the 4th section of the Act, it says, it shall provide that officers and agents of the Freedmen's Bureau, shall be empowered to arrest. Also, that of officers may be specially commissioned for that purpose by the President of the United States. And then he says...
Hold it, Ted.
Yes, sir.
Are you suggesting something here?
I'm telling you.
Are you suggesting that black people create some kind of a Freedmen Bureau to...
Well, yes. It tells you that. That's why they gave this to us, so that we can have our own bureau with the power to arrest any government official who violates our citizenship. Read it. That's why President Johnson got so upset. Listen to this part. Here. He said, these numerous official agents are made to constitute a sort of police in addition to the military, and are authorized to summon the posse comitatus and even call to their aid such portions of the land and naval forces of the United States military or militia. That's the power we have. That's the power we have to keep these people off our backs until we can get ourselves academically educated.
All right, tell me.
Educated as long as they continue to violate the law and we do not exercise our power to arrest them.
Okay, I'm both of you.
I go back to this. 80% of our children this year will be given diplomas and can't read them.
Can't read or write. Or can't
that is beyond crisis. If we don't address that, then everything that we're saying here and doing here will not matter.
No, it would matter, because if Ted is correct, then...
See, we have enormous power. We're not using. That's why right after the Civil War, when Republicans, young men and women, would go down to the former Confederate States to teach us to read and comprehend so we can use this power, they were lynched. They were killed.
Well, how do we do that?
The Democratic Party has always denied us the right of a fair and equal education, because they knew that if we ever got our heads straight and see this, match point, game over.
Okay. Well, how do we do that? I mean, okay, look, I'm an optimist. What I'm hearing you and Ted saying is that, okay, we've been deliberately uneducated our children for the past 2, 3, 4, or 5 years, 4 years or so, okay, or even more. But I got that. I'm hearing Ted saying that because we are citizens of the United States, we're vulnerable to abuse by some people, almost indiscriminately. So here's my question. Given the fact that the President of the United States just took the position that he took on our citizenship, what do we do? How do we, Black Lives Matter, then, that was a setup. So NAACP, not good for us. Who are the other one? Congressional Black Caucus, not good for us. They all just, the media, not good for us. Everything that we have is not good. you know, we're still, we're still moving forward, but without the right, without the right people on, I guess,
Chief.
Come on, Ted, help me out. How do we do it?
Let me show you right now.
Oh, come
Let me
on.
read this to you. Let me read this to you from Mr. Johnson again. In all our history, he says, in all our experience as a people living under the federal and state law, no such system as that contemplated by the details of this bill has ever before been proposed or adopted. They established the security of the colored race, safeguards which go infinitely beyond any that the general government has ever provided for the white race. In fact, the distinction of the race and color by this bill made to operate in favor of the colored against the white race. Are you getting this?
Yes. What I would like to add to that is, as I have observed this this past 4 years of this new group that was brought in and overlaid over the top of the Black America, is I didn't think that there was enough money to fund our rehabilitation. Now, as I look at and saw how elaborate the benefits were being given to this alien group, now I want that money. I want that money going to my community. The money that's been promised for this past 100 years or so. Let's do it. It's there.
So you're saying what, Joel?
Fund it. I mean, if we have programs for education, for training, for all the things that are necessary, reconstruct, kind of like what we did for Europe.
Okay, but how do we get the crooks out of there?
I don't know.
By this law that they've given us the weapon. We just got to know how to use it and where to shoot it. We can undo all of this if we grasp first and foremost our identity, our constitutional identity in this country as federalized citizens.
Grab it first.
Citizenship status.
Grab it first. Take it first. Make it ours.
When Europe exploded in the past 2 wars there, in the First and Second War, at the end of those wars, they literally sat down and said, we need to build them to a point where they are going to be successful. And they came up with the Marshall Plan. And that Marshall Plan worked wonders for a group of people.
We've talked about it before.
Yeah.
We've said that we do need, if Donald Trump is coming up with what he is coming up with now, then he also must realize that we need a martial law.
Marshall Plan.
Marshall Plan, law. I'm sorry, bro, but let's not forget the law. But we need a Marshall Plan.
Don't know that. Yeah.
For the urban cities, for the children of slaves of this country, we need, in order for us to survive. See, that's why I kept asking, how? How do we do it?
Well, as the Bible says, give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. He'll eat for a lifetime. We need to establish a route to independence.
Then we got to get rid of people like this Al Sharpton with his...
The political parties want the black people vulnerable and dependent.
Which political party?
The Democratic Party.
Hello, the Democrats.
The Democrats.
We're not giving in, Democrats. We're letting you know now.
I don't even call them Democrats anymore. I call them the
Socialist
Democrats.
Socialist Democrats.
The Democratic Party that I grew up under doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist anymore. And I tell you, black folks, you keep listening. Keep listening to us, and we appreciate you listening. We want you to continue and send us your comments on what Ted Hayes. Oh, man, what a brilliant. Joel Spears. Really sharp-minded folks that are telling us what we need to do. We need to make sure to start protecting our children. Mom, I'm talking to you. Daddy, I know you might be in jail or something, but you need to, send some kind of message somehow to protect our children. And we need this information sent to every police officer in the country. You can't continue to shoot black people anyhow. As that brother would say, any willy nilly is the way that he says it. And just shooting them. You leave your house, got your kids there, they're safe, and you go out to the urban cities to shoot a black man. And that goes for black police officers as well. As much as we want your help to keep our society safe, I mean, if that's what it is they're doing.
The United States has always
Stop shooting us.
The United States has always prided itself on being a world leader. We were a model to the world for democracy, but yet we have a hard time practicing it at home. Let's make the black community, let's live up to the promises made to the black community. Bring them aboard, make sure that we have a successful route like we've done for all these alien countries and groups who have asked for our help. Now let's do it here at home.
I'd like to just thank all of you. We have another show coming up. Abortion. Still a critical issue. Don't know why. Y'all still want to kill these little kids. Don't make sense to me. You know, and it's always the people that are living talking about aborting. If you were aborted, you wouldn't say shit, would you? I mean, you would say anything.
Bleep that. You know,
slip.
Right. I think it's a complicated issue that myself I struggle with it. I don't know what is the right thing because, of course, you know, killing and taking a life is wrong. But, you know, there are these circumstances that have to be considered. So I'm torn.
Marshall Plan. I like that. Ted, last word, if you would. We're almost finished. And you know, our technician, they'll come knocking on the door. And go ahead, Ted. Give us a last minute or so word, especially on what we need to do.
Thank you very much. What you need to do is study the 14th Amendment. You need to study the Civil Rights Act of 1866. You need to study the letter. This is greater than the Willie Lynch letter. You need to study the letter of President Andrew Johnson, where he vetoed the bill to make us super citizens. And if you would, go to the14th.us, 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 and that will guide you through the whole conversation. And then on Wednesday, February the 12th, I'm going to open up class at 6 o'clock Pacific Coast time, where I'm going to teach you this power. I'm going to arm you. Once you are armed with your weapon, you will be able to then access all the resources in this country that belongs to us.
And I'll tell you, black folks, you give them an arm, they know what the hell to do with it.
Well, we're going to show them. We're going to show them what to do with it, and well, we're going to load them up so they can do this in every state and county and city across this country.
You're a great man, my brother. I thank you again, and we're not finished with you because God ain't finished with you. So we're going to continue dialoguing, talking about it. This is something new for a lot of black people in this country, for all the other people in this country. This is new. The African American, that's us, black people. We are Americans. You gotta stop killing us as if we're just useless people. You gotta start looking out for us. We don't want to come in your kitchen. We don't want to come in your bedroom. We don't want to do any of that. We'll keep our own. You keep your own, but we're both Americans. Am I correct about that?
Amen.
We are both Americans, so we're going to find a way to continue to live together and protect this country. That's our job as Americans. Protect America. Protect it. And all you Negroes out there that don't want to protect America, there's a damn, we'll get your plane, take you straight over to Kenya or any other country in motherland, because it's still our motherland. It's just too far for us to go back to. We don't know nothing of, we don't know enough of it. You know, I've lived there and I know, but you ain't been nowhere.
I've been over.
You've been over. Ted, you been over.
I've been over Liberia.
Liberia. Oh boy, that's a not tough. We really forgot to talk about Liberia and
I was
the Back
there.
to
I was
Africa
there.
movement.
I was there about a year before the revolution happened, when all the people got killed over there and so forth.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I was there in Liberia.
Unbelievable. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank all of you for tuning in. We want you to be really send us your comments. Love us, like us, ring a bell, whatever you have to do, listen to us. We know what we're doing. We're trying to help you. We're trying to help out all of us. This is Chief Obidike and your brother, my friend, Joel Spears. We are here at the New Harbor studio, and what we like to do is, hey, let's talk about it. God bless you. Take good care. And
peace.
Deport in peace.